Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're a Christian in business or leadership, you've probably asked yourself at some point, how do I hire the right people in a way that honors my faith? So hiring isn't just a business decision, it's a stewardship decision. So who you bring into your organization shapes your culture, your team's morale, your credibility, and even your impact in the marketplace. So today I want to share some biblical principles for hiring well and a personal moment when I realized just how important discernment truly is. So let's start with the foundation. We all know it's easy to get caught up in CVs, qualifications, and shiny experience. And those things do matter, absolutely. But the Bible shows us that when God chooses people for significant roles, he cares about something far deeper. If we look at 1 Samuel 16:7, it says, people look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. So when you're hiring, looking at the heart means paying attention to things like integrity, their work ethic, humility, emotional maturity, and alignment with values. And here's what I learned the hard way. There was a time when I was tasked with building a communications team for a company from scratch, using a mix of internal and external recruitment. And I was under pressure to start delivering, so recruitment was thorough, but it was quick. And on paper, one candidate was clearly the strongest for one of the roles. She persuaded me that she had the right experience, her pitch was really good, and I felt we would work well together. And I hired her because I was satisfied I had done all the right assessments. But, and it's a big but, I didn't pray for discernment. And pretty soon, something just didn't seem to sit right. Not anything massively dramatic, just small inconsistencies, like a questionable work ethic. And worse, she even started playing politics behind my back. So it didn't end well. And it taught me a key lesson well too. First of all, Proverbs 3:5. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. I clearly hired her based on my own understanding because I didn't pray, I didn't seek the Lord on that. And secondly, better hiring means less firing, and we all want to avoid that as much as possible. I might even get that on a t-shirt at some point. Then there was another candidate, slightly less experienced, less polished, but steady, humble, and grounded. And after praying, I felt peace about this one. Even though they didn't stand out on paper, this person had talent and experience, but also character. And that person was one of the most faithful, dependable, and culture-building employees we had. And years later, we're still friends. So to summarize, I'd put it this way: skills evolve, but character endures. The second principle comes from Jesus' words in the parable of talents, Matthew 25:21. You've been faithful over a few things, I will make you ruler over many. Faithfulness in the small things tells you everything about how someone will handle the bigger things. And in hiring, it looks like consistency, reliability, ownership, finishing what they start, showing initiative without needing applause. And one of the most underrated interview questions you can ask is, what's something small you take pride in doing really well? Faithfulness is a biblical value, but it's also a business advantage. And faithful employees stabilize your organization. They reduce turnover, they protect culture, and they build trust. Here's what I learned to do having had some of those bad experiences I mentioned earlier. If I feel like I'm faced with making an impossible decision between two candidates, both are strong, both competent, both interviewed well, I avoid going over the pros and cons because I realize now that the more I analyze, the more confused I feel. So I do the thing we often forget to do. I simply pray, not for a sign, not for an angelic visitation, although that would be pretty cool. I just pray for wisdom. James 1:5 says, if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God who gives generously. And in that moment of quiet, I had absolute clarity. It's not logical, and unbelieving colleagues would probably think you're mad, but I always get the peace which confirms which person is the right cultural fit. Because prayer is not a super spiritual extra, it's a leadership tool. You're stewarding people, and God cares more about the people you bring into your organization even more than you do. Here's something important. Hiring with biblical principles doesn't just benefit Christians. It benefits everyone because biblical values create healthy culture, respect, fairness, integrity, accountability, service, compassion. And teams and environments like this, they function better, they perform better, they stay longer, they feel psychologically safe, and they recommend the workplace to others. A Christlike culture isn't exclusive, it's attractive, it lifts the whole organization. If you want to grow in this kind of leadership that's strong, wise, people-honoring, and rooted in biblical principles, this is exactly what I help leaders build through my faith-driven leadership course. It's designed for Christians in business who want to create cultures of excellence and honor while leading authentically from their faith. So if that speaks to you, it's in the link below. So thanks for watching, and if this helped you, please feel free to subscribe and share it with another leader who might need it today. See you in the next video.